Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken not given, joined as always by the Robin Hood of the working class, John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing great, doing wonderful, realizing that we never changed the graphics, so I'm just going to change it here now. You gotta welcome to the Left Wing, people. This is, as we always say, we do this for free. We don't have any editors or producers, so if you ever want to volunteer, let us know. Otherwise, deal with sometimes incorrect graphics.
Yeah, incorrect graphics. Rough start to the show because I said Robin Hood of the working class, which I don't know why I said that. I meant to say
ironic.
Yeah, I meant to say Robin Hood of the Rust Belt is what I meant to say. I don't know how I effed that up, but
which is also weird considering I'm not in the Rust Belt. But
wait, you're not? I thought Pennsylvania was like in the Pittsburgh. Philadelphia, I guess, isn't.
Parts of Pennsylvania are in the Rust Belt. Philadelphia is not. Like the Western PA, Pittsburgh side of things. I don't know exactly where the cutoff is, but no, Philadelphia is not part of the Rust Belt.
Oh, well, it wouldn't have worked anyway. But I like how it sounds, Robin Hood of the Rust Belt. Robin Hood.
I do too. Maybe I should move to Pittsburgh just to take that.
Just to have it up, yeah, somewhere in the Rust Belt. I saw something. This was during the election, and it was a poll about Sun Belt states. And North Carolina was included in that poll. And I remember thinking, okay, that is not a Sun Belt state. I don't know exactly where I would say the Sun Belt ends, but it ends way before you get to the East Coast, I would imagine.
Yeah, very true. I don't really know where the Sun Belt is. Like, it's an area of the country where I've never been and don't really care to really ever. Maybe I will. Who knows? But odd place. It's an odd place, the Sun Belt.
I don't know. I think of it like, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. That's kind of what I guess with Sun Belt. I think it would end long before North Carolina.
There's desert there. I can call it. It's not California. It's the Sun Belt. That's how I think.
I like unofficial regions. How many we have in the United States? Because I was from Missouri and I went to college in Wisconsin, and a lot of people kept referring to Missouri as a southern state. It's not. It's a Midwestern state, but it seems like a southern state because of how far south it is compared to, like the true Midwestern states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just kind of odd how we don't have a solid definition of all these states.
We should at some point do an official left-wing map redraw of the United States. Like, if we were to split up this country into culturally homogenous zones, where would we do it? As opposed to the states that we currently have. Because like I said with Pennsylvania, it's not really one cohesive state. Mm-hmm. It is the Philadelphia, like the eastern side of it, which is Philadelphia. You can call it the Northeast Pennsylvania, where you kind of start running into North Jersey, New York City. Like, that's all pretty homogenous. Then you have the middle of the state, which is farmland, Hicksville, we call it Pennsylvania. And then we have the left side of the state, which is very similar, like, might as well be Ohio. And I'm sure there's a lot of regions of this country like that could be broken down way better than we currently break them down in terms of states.
What you're going to end up with is a lot of confederations that don't make sense geographically, but make sense actually culturally. I would joke that if you went far enough north, you'd end up in the South. If you go to, say, Maine, or the northern part of Minnesota, everyone is wearing flannels. Everyone is working outside. They all have like weird accents. It seems a lot more like the South than it seems like the Midwest. So I think you'd have a lot of overlap between the very far north and the very far south.
So as someone who has spent time in both the very far north and the very far south, I understand what you're saying, but it's a distinctly different culture in the very far north as compared to the south. Like the very far north, like those, we'll call them the conservative areas, right? Because obviously those are a lot of blue states, but they have a lot of red areas inside of them. They are much more outdoorsy, industrious people in those states. Whereas in the South states, you have like outdoors hobbies that people like to do. People like to go shooting, people like to go hunting, that sort of stuff. But it's very much more similar to kind of homogenous American culture in the South, I feel like. Whereas I feel there's a distinct difference in the conservatives up in the North. Like, I get along with them a lot better. They're much more they'll say things to your face, as opposed to in the South where it's all bless your heart. And I feel like that is a very distinct cultural divide. It's just like if you took New Yorkers and made them more conservative and more outdoorsy, that's what you get up there. Whereas in the South, it's just very different vibes. Does that make sense? Do you feel like I explained that well?
I think so, at least with the general interactions with the public, because in the South, they're nice to your face, but mean to you, every other on the inside, how they actually think about you. But in the North, they might be mean to your face, but they're actually nice people. That's kind of the vibe I've seen.
All right. Well, we'll put this on the to-do list of if you guys like this idea, want us to pursue it, we'll put it on our rainy day. We don't know what to talk about. We'll redraw the United States. But until then, this is our Q&A show here at the Left Wing. It is, I don't know if you guys noticed, on a Monday, not a Tuesday. We did zero announcement about this, but we're going to be doing shows on Monday and Wednesday this week because of our conflicting work schedules. So if you're not usually able to make it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, this is an excellent week to be here for the Left Wing. With that, make sure if you guys have any questions for us, let us know in the comments. We'll make sure to answer them. And until then, I noticed you made the title for this episode, TJ. Why has Donald Trump suddenly disappeared? Do you have an answer? Because I fucking don't. This is very strange right now.
I don't have an answer, but it has been fun watching people ruminate and postulate all these conspiracies and thoughts that Donald Trump had died, that he just kind of vanished. Trump, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Donald Trump hasn't done a public appearance in 6 days, which is a very long time for Donald Trump. There's nothing he loves more than being in front of the camera and talking to folks. And so to go a full week without it, it's a little alarming to folks. And so about 3 days ago, I started seeing people say, all right, it's finally happened. Donald Trump is dead. This is it, folks. Ding dong, witch is dead and all that. I didn't buy that. I didn't think that was the case. No evidence either way. But since then, there have been some pictures of him out. Some of them actually are a few weeks old, but there have been a couple of confirmed photos of Donald Trump, and they're all from far away. They aren't like official White House press conferences and no speeches or anything like that. And people have gone full Zapruder film on this stuff. They have taken these shots of Trump in a limousine, pictures of Trump stepping outside. They've done these AI images of it and enhancements of the photographs and saying, look how his jaw is all slacked and his eye looks all weird and everything. It seems like a lot of wishful thinking to me. It seems like folks are really hoping there's something wrong with him. Once again, I have no explanation for why he hasn't shown up for a week, but I'm not buying that there's actually a weekend at Bernie situation going on here. What do you think, John?
Yeah, so I don't think there's a weekend at Bernie situation like that. That would be crazy to me. Like if he's dead right now and they're covering up, I feel like that's massive, wild speculation with no basis. But Jesus Christ, TJ, as you said, I don't think we've gone 6 days without seeing this man make a public appearance in the last decade, maybe ever. Like I don't know when the last time Donald Trump has spent 6 days not getting in front of a camera. It must have been a long time. And I typically hate, TJ, when people go, oh, why doesn't the media treat Donald Trump the same way they treat Joe Biden or the Democrats? And I'm like, well, that's because Donald Trump has controlled the media and his appearance, and that is one of his skills. And in order to get the media to change, the Democrats have to do something about it. However, this is one situation where I'm like, guys, what the fuck are you doing? Like, when Joe Biden had the debate, there was constant, every single appearance he made, there was constant, like, oh, he looks like this. Oh, he tripped over these words, yada, yada, yada. He barely was able to walk. This is weird. This is weird. It is newsworthy. And it's confusing to me why there isn't more of a media frenzy surrounding the fact that for the first time in the last 8 years, Donald Trump has shut the fuck up. And it's clearly for medical reasons. Like that, there really has been no other explanation put out there. Like there's no way they can sit up there and be like, yeah, no, Trump just doesn't want to talk. Trump just doesn't want to be in front of the camera. He doesn't want attention on him right now. Like no one's gonna fucking buy that. So why isn't this being hounded by the press? Is really I'm kind of upset about it.
Yeah, it is kind of annoying. I don't know, because you're right. I hate to go down the road. Oh, he definitely had a stroke, or there's definitely something going on here. But like John said,
it is of value to the American public to know what the fuck is going on here. That is undeniable.
Yeah. There should be some sort of transparency on that, and I don't know. I think that I hate to be one of the people on the left who says, "Aha, now here's a good chance to criticize the Democrats." I hate to be that kind of guy because those folks are kind of annoying, but it does speak to you about how bad, say, Biden was at this. That if Biden went 6 days without talking, nobody would even like. Conservatory of the Ozarks says that I didn't even notice he was missing. And I guess if you're not tracking the news every single day and stuff, you don't see the images of Trump going out there on the press conference or talking in front of this helicopter or whatever. But when it doesn't happen for a while, like, oh yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. If Biden did that, no one would have cared, which is a slight of the negligent on behalf of the president of the United States whenever you're in charge. If there's one thing I hope that we do learn from Trump, it is that we need to be in front of cameras all the time pushing stuff. Oh, that shit. Sorry, keep going with Trump. I just thought of something else to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying there makes perfect sense. It is emblematic of the failures of Democrats in general. And kind of what we're talking about, why we like what Gavin Newsom is doing. He's controlling the news cycle. He's making it about him. And I will say it is an interesting timing with the left having a couple stories that were eating each other alive and Trump just goes silent. I would almost attribute that to good strategy on his part. But obviously that's not the case. Like, there's clearly just the Zapruder film cryptid photo, 50-yard away, telephoto lens, still blurry, like pictures of him walking around in limousines. Like, that's weird. It's just weird. It's bizarre. And again, you're right. If it was Joe Biden, we'd kind of be like, this is normal. And it's not even necessarily, I'm saying he can't do that as a president. Like, you can kind of chill out and not make public appearances for 6 days. That in itself isn't newsworthy or concerning. It's this guy doing it. It's like if a quarterback runs for a touchdown, you're not surprised. But if you found out it was Joe Flacco, you'd be like, holy shit, he's like 60. How'd he do that? Like, it's kind of like that, where it's like, this is so out of the ordinary, even though it's fairly common. In this situation, it is cause for alarm.
Yeah, that actually reminds me that we haven't seen much from Trump, but he did do a Truth Social post. When was this? This was today, September 1st. Yeah. And he posted, what few people understand is that we do very little business with India, but they do a tremendous amount of business with us. In other words, they sell us massive amounts of goods, their biggest client, but we sell them very little. Until now, a totally one-sided relationship, and it has been for many decades. The reason is that India has charged us until now such high tariffs that the most of any country that our businesses are unable to sell into India. It has been a totally one-sided disaster. Also, India buys most of its oil and military products from Russia, very little from the United States. They now have offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but it's getting late. They should have done so years ago. Just some simple facts for people to ponder. I saw that, and I had the same thought that a lot of other people did, where they said, wow, that does not sound like Trump. That sounds like a 65% Trump. I'm not trying to go conspiratorial here, but I saw someone comment that, wow, they should hire Gavin Newsom to do Trump's tweets because he does a better job than whoever they have covering for him right now. That was it was actually hard to read because I'm trying to think of it in Trump's way, and that's not his cadence or anything like that. They tried I did appreciate the effort of putting quotation marks around random words. That's one of the most mysterious things about Trump writing is that he capitalizes and puts quotation marks around words where they have no business being quoted or capitalized. So they did try to put some effort in there, but it was really bland, really low energy Trump. Or maybe Trump was tired when he wrote it. It just doesn't seem right. That was when my wheels started turning. It's like, okay, that's kind of weird. More than any picture, I got to say.
So the thing that's concerning isn't that someone is clearly writing Donald Trump's post, because that does happen a lot. Like we've been saying on this show, I've been saying at least for years and years and years now, it's very clear when a post is written by Donald Trump and when it's written by his team. Usually, like, if someone dies, that's important. That post by Donald Trump, written by his staff. It's very clear. It's incredibly coherent. It is heartfelt. It has proper punctuation, and it makes sense. And then you go to a Donald Trump post, and it's what we all know to be a Donald Trump post. So the concern here is not that someone is posting on Donald Trump's behalf. The concern here is that someone is posting on Donald Trump's behalf, and they're making it they're trying to make it look like they're not. That's the concerning part here, is they're trying to camouflage themselves as Trump. And that, again, just there's so much smoke. I don't even care. Like, I genuinely don't care what's going on with him. Like, if he dies, he dies. We'll light the fucking cigar. I should go get cigars just in case. I've never smoked a cigar, but that would be an occasion. But it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not like following this closely. It just is bizarre to me that this isn't the biggest story in the country, because he's clear. Like, there's clearly something going on, and nobody knows what it is, and nobody seems to care. Or not nobody, but like it's either a joke or you're just ignoring it. You know, it's no one's really taking this seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm if I had to bet money, I'm betting it on it's something bland and innocuous, because it always seems to be. And whatever I would hope to happen, or the best news that I could get, never seems to happen. So why should it start now? I'm not being optimistic about the death of Trump, or the physical incapacitation of Trump, or Trump succumbing to some sort of illness, because that would just be too good.
So here's the thing, TJ. Like, I agree with, like, the most likely thing is it's something innocuous, and he just has to lay low for a while. You know, he's sick or whatever.
He could have a sore throat for all we know. I mean, who knows? It's just
that's
like,
probably not
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like,
we don't know. Yeah,
it's more likely than not that whatever this is, it's something that he's not going to die from. That being said, he's 79 years old, right?
Yeah.
Something innocuous at 79 years old is still life-threatening. Like, the common cold at 79 years old is a life-threatening illness. And he does have the best medical team. Well, he should have the best medical team available to him. I don't know if he does. I don't know if the doctors that he has surrounded himself with are actually good doctors, or doctors that, like every other fucking employee he has, is just going to tell him what he wants to hear. So that is a little bit of a curveball to throw in there. But yeah, it is a thing that everyone should be like, hey, something could be happening. Who fucking knows? But we won't know until we know. And if we never know, then we'll never know. But what do we do, TJ, like, if it happens? Like, what do you think happens if we wake up one of these mornings to the headline?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this for a while now. I mean, long before this, actually, that if Trump does die sometime during this term, or he's incapacitated to the extent that they have to put Vance in as the president, I don't think that's going to happen. I've long said I think Trump's going to live well into his hundreds, that God is on his side, and the evil God of this universe is going to keep him around for a long time. But if he does, it's different if it happens during his term than after his term. If I think it happens during his term, I can see MAGA still puttering along in his honor. I think that, hey, we need to accomplish Trump's goals, whatever. If it happens after Trump's term, it's done. I think that the MAGA movement, as we know it, dies with him. Like, some other form of conservatism will rise. I don't think Vance or anyone else is going to have the juice to rally the troops on this. And I think it would end up in, we already think, like, I think you and I agree at this, that the midterms aren't going to look good for the Republicans. I think it looks even worse after Trump dies, or if he does die before the midterms.
Yeah. It's a big question. I was more so saying what our reaction would be, like what the common man's reaction to his death would be, less so the political. What's the word? Outcomes of it. That's not the word I'm looking for. But to speak to your point, yeah, it really a lot of it is on JD Vance, because if he dies in office, JD Vance is the heir apparent. Like, there's no question about it. And so you have a secession plan. It's just, can JD Vance pull it off? And that is the $64 million or $64,000 question. And I don't know the answer to that. Like, I really don't. Because it's a little bit less. It's not all about JD Vance. It's, can the MAGA media apparatus elevate Vance? Will people take Vance seriously? I haven't seen evidence of that thus far, but hell, anything could happen. So I really don't know what happens. I do think that Republicans take a hit. We've seen time and time again, if Donald Trump ain't on the ticket, Republicans aren't a very hot commodity. I don't see that changing if Donald Trump is dead, unless Vance somehow manages to take that cult of personality from Trump and impose it onto himself, which again, I just think is very unlikely. But it is probably a better outcome for the MAGA movement, just because there is a succession plan, because there never will be. Like, if Trump didn't have to name a vice president, there would be no one. It would just be Donald J. Trump. And we know that the sons, they're not doing anything. Ivanka has seemed to peace out. So she would honestly be the one person who could maybe take it over, and she doesn't seem to want any of it. So yeah, it is. I don't know if it is better or worse for Republicans, but probably better if he dies in office. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, he'll live. As you said, the most likely scenario is he lives to 112. He outlives us all.
Yeah. Don't see why not. All right. Justin says his wife, kids, and vice president have not posted in 2 days. That's not just rare. It never happens at all. Something's up for sure. Didn't Vance say something I don't know how many days ago it was, where he did an interview where he said something like, hey, if anything happens to him, I'll be fine. That's what got a lot of people talking about. Maybe it was more than 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. And Adolf Twitler says they are posting old photos and vids of crazy King Cankles at the White House and quickly getting caught due to photo recognition. Are we ready for Peter Thiel's love seat? I don't know what. Is that JD Vance? Is that what we're talking about? I don't know.
Maybe that seems like a JD Vance couch joke.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. And John, as to your question as to what our reaction would be, I don't know what my reaction would be, really. I don't know if it would. I don't know if I'd have a giant celebratory moment. Oh, great, he's gone. But I don't see, because look, the damage that Trump has set to accomplish has been done. I don't think there's any dialing this back. That Trump in office now has really accomplished everything he wanted to do. I mean, there's the entire vibe and soul of the nation, as Joe Biden would say, has changed, and it's not going to come back for a very long time. I will say, you said you haven't had cigars before. Cigars are very overrated. I've had cigars. I'm not a smoker or anything like that, but cigars, I don't know. I don't see what's so good about them. So may want to pass on those.
I've never enjoyed smoking anything. I've never I think it looks cool. Every time I see some people doing it, I'm like, I'd like to partake. And then I do, and I'm like, this sucks dick. Why do people do this? It's the worst thing ever. There's so many better ways to intake your drugs than fucking smoking them, both for your health and just for your own pleasure. But yeah, whatever. That's total aside. I think that, to me, it's something that's been built up. We all crave those communal social media moments that everyone just gets together and is in on it. And you probably get 4 to 6 of them a year. And that is one that's just pegged. Whenever he dies, it feels like it's going to be a big day. And I just don't know. It depends how it is. It depends when it happens. It does kind of feel like it'll happen, and then it'll just be now what? As much as I will feel a desire to celebrate it, it's okay, well, now there's a whole other fucking can of worms we have to deal with, and I'm going to be happy about it. But I don't know how long that joyous celebration will actually be sustained.
Yeah, that's where I am. It's kind of like in Avengers Endgame, when the very opening plays that they kill Thanos. Great. All right, the damage has been done. I guess we got the bad guy, the ding dong, which is dead, but it doesn't change what's already happened. And my view of the United States and our citizenry is damaged for good. I've already had a lot of suspicions and caution and worry about the nation in the past, but seeing us send almost 80 million people 3 elections in a row to vote for Donald Trump, that, I don't know. There's no coming back from that. They got to do a lot to assuage my fears. I also got to go back to something you mentioned, John. You are 100% correct. I've never agreed with you anything more. Smoking looks so fucking cool. Smoking looks amazing. I mean, it's not just from Mad Men or anything like that. I thought smoking looked cool when I was a kid. You would see, there's a reason that when you watch movies from, hell, not just 50s and 60s movies now, that the cool character is leaning up against the wall and smoking and just taking a drag. It looks so cool. But I never smoked as a kid. I never tried any cigarettes or anything like that at all. And everyone I knew, I don't know if this is true for you in your situation, John, everyone I knew who is currently a smoker started smoking in middle school. Well, except people in the army. People who I knew in the army, they would smoke or dip on deployments for their nerves and stuff. Outside of the military, everyone else I knew who started smoking did so at 12 or 13. And I remember there was a friend of mine, and she was a smoker, and I told her that I'd never smoked before, and I said, plus it sounds really painful and terrible to inhale fire into your lungs. That doesn't sound fun. And then she told me, well, yeah, I started when I was 12. We would go in the bleachers and we would smoke. And I thought, TJ, if a 12-year-old girl can do this, I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you got this under control. I took one drag, coughed, and hacked like a bitch. I was crying, just rivers of tears, John. It was. I couldn't believe anyone did this voluntarily. And I tried it again, maybe a couple weeks later, same result. So no, smoking's not for me either. My lungs just can't take it. I don't know how anybody does.
You're so like the coolness of it. Like, especially there's like certain actors that just do it better than everyone else. Like you brought up Mad Men, like John Hamm smokes so cool. The guy from Peaky Blinders and Oppenheimer, forgetting his name off the top of my head.
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy, yeah. He smokes every single time you're watching Peaky Blinders and he has a cigarette in his mouth. You're just like, how is he making this look so cool? And he just does. I actually think like nowadays, because smoking, at least in America, at least parts of America where I live, it's really a lower class coded loser thing. If you're able to make smoking a cigarette look cool in the year 2025 in the United States of America, you just have that. You have something about you. You got that X factor because everything's going against it. It's not even like cool people smoke anymore. It's not like successful people smoke anymore. If you're able to make smoking a cigarette look cool, you're a cool person. That's pretty much what it is nowadays.
I don't know if I'm with you on that one. I think it
really
always looks cool.
Really,
I think it always.
You
looks
think it
cool.
always looks cool? Even when it's just like some loser on the side of the street, just like fucking smoking a cigarette. Like I'm just like, fuck you. Why are you doing this?
The loser? Like if I can look at someone and tell they're a loser just by the eyeball test, it's not because of the cigarette. The cigarette is not, deducting cool points from them. It always gains, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I see it.
I think that's what I'm saying is just like the only people you see smoking a cigarette are people who already passed the loser test. So the people who aren't passing the loser test and they're smoking a cigarette, like it's just such a rare occurrence nowadays that whatever. We've talked enough about smoking cigarettes.
No. I want more. I got a little bit more because let's see. Justin Hall says the few times I tried a cigar, I only cared about looking cool and bad. The smoke tasted awful. So with cigars, I tried them for the first time. We snuck some on a deployment. I can't remember where we got them from, but some guy had them, and I tried it. And you're not supposed to inhale the cigar smoke. You just kind of puff on it and just bite it. Don't inhale the cigar smoke, John. Don't do that. It's you're not just that's just for the taste, and it doesn't taste that great. They smell okay. They smell better than cigarettes because they have all these flavors, whatever. But I don't know. It made my stomach hurt. I didn't really appreciate it all that much. And then Justin says, and how you hold the cigar when you speak. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just not. It's not for me. It's just a hookah is good though. You ever tried hookah?
Never tried a hookah, but I never want to.
No.
I feel like hookah is just like I don't get it. I don't get the entire point of a hookah lounge. Confuses the hell out of me.
I've never been to a hookah lounge.
Oh, so you say like you have done it with friends? Someone has a hookah thing, and okay.
Yeah. A friend of mine had some Middle Eastern, foreign exchange students, and they had a hookah set up. And the hookah, it's the best part about it is that it's not hot. The smoke is cool, and so it tastes pretty good, and it doesn't burn your lungs. I don't know, best of both worlds, if you ask me. If you're gonna, I would celebrate with hookah, but not with cigars.
Okay, I see. That's the thing. I see the argument for hookah, but it just doesn't seem celebratory or cool. It doesn't have the other context and aesthetic that make it that. Like it does seem to be something that certain groups of people go and do socially, and those groups of people have never been my people. So I've never had any appeal. Like the people I see doing it are not people I'm like, I'm one of them. It's very much usually the opposite, and so it's never something that has appealed to John Cooper. Not knocking that at all. Also, I don't know, fucking neck tattoos have never appealed to me, but they do look cool sometimes. So anyway, TJ, anything else on Donald Trump? Because there is another topic I did want to talk about today.
I don't think I have anything else with Donald Trump, but before we move to the next topic, I have a beef I want to go over real quick. And we talked about Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is a fantastic actor. I like him in a lot of the roles he's been in. But one thing I can't stand is that Cillian is spelled with a C. I really hate that. I really hate that should be Cillian Murphy. No, well, yeah, it should be Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy or Killian with a K. I don't like that. I have a lot of beef with the letter C in general. I think the letter C shouldn't exist, actually. I think that the letter C, I'm not joking. The letter C does two things.
TJ's about to throw down with Elmo.
Listen, the letter C does two things, right? It either makes a S sound, as in cell, or it makes a K sound, as in cat. And S and K are letters we already have, right? So why would we need a third letter that makes one of those two sounds? It just doesn't make sense. We should just use Ks or S's in places of Cs. It makes the language a lot simpler. And I think that the only way you need a C is if you're using it in conjunction with another letter, like H for church. It's the only letter that can actually work.
That's what I was going to say, because KH would look dumb.
Right. Although easy trade-off. It's not like a C needs to be there. If we just want to make the K, but whatever. We want to hold on to the C. We have some allegiance to the letter C. We can keep it that way. But yeah, I just don't like that. It's just something that bugs me. And Cillian Murphy, let's say it bugs me all the way even more.
Here's TJ. Like I get the argument you're making. Yeah. I don't have a reasonable counter argument to it. However, Cooper with a K would look dumb as shit, so I'm gonna have to stand firmly against this one.
It only looks weird because that's not how we spell it, though, right? I mean, yeah,
no, it would look dumb. I'd have to. I'm just taking the wife's name at that point. If I have to switch to Cooper with a K, but okay. Anyway, TJ, have you been following the Taylor Lawrence Wired article?
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up
because I want to talk about it. I've been wanting to. I was like halfway to texting you and being like, "Yo, you want to hop on a live because I want to fucking talk about this over the weekend." Because I feel like fucking Mr. Krabs meme. Like I'm on the opposite side of all the people I would usually be on the same side of, and I'm just dumbfounded by the reaction to this.
So I don't know what your reaction is. Like John and I haven't spoke about this, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't read Taylor Rentz's article. I've only heard people talk about it. But essentially, she found out that there was this organization called Chorus, I believe, and that this organization was paying left-wing influencers to speak on behalf of the Democratic Party. And there was a clause in their contract that they signed with Chorus saying that they couldn't publicly admit that they were being funded by Chorus, and that these payments went from anywhere from a few $100s a month to about $8,000 a month. There was just a wide range in there. And I saw that there were, I've only known two people that I knew whose names came up: David Pakman and Brian Taylor Cohen, I think his name was Brian Tyler Cohen, I think.
Yeah.
And people are upset that they didn't divulge this information out front. And a lot of folks, once again, I haven't researched this, but a lot of folks were suspiciously silent on the Gaza thing. And so they thought, well, they must be because of this Chorus thing. I don't know. I did find it odd that the contract stated you can't say that you were being funded by it. That seems weird. But my takeaway, I don't know, this might be way off based on what you were, is that remember how long we've said we've complained that the left wing isn't funding influencers? Turns out they were, and we just suck at it. Turns out we're just really bad at it. Like all this time, I thought, okay, well, the conservatives got this shit figured out where they're paying people to toe the party line, but we're doing it too. We're just a lot worse. So it was just kind of depressing that way.
Yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit to this. So all of that was correct, and I did read the article, and I've been following this pretty closely. Like, I don't personally know any of the people who are involved, but I'm like 1 degree of separation away from a lot of them. Like I have a lot of mutuals with their mutuals, right? And so like this has been all over my timelines. A lot of people that I interact with have been talking about this. And Taylor Lawrence is someone I typically liked. Like I generally like her work. I think she's a pretty good journalist. I think she gets a little kooky sometimes, but c'est la vie. The thing here is that what the article actually said and what Taylor Lorenz has gone online and put out there are
Mm-hmm.
two completely different things. Because what the article says is relatively accurate, even if its framing is very suspicious. Because what the article says essentially is there is chorus, and chorus is something that I knew about immediately after the election. Like Brian Taylor Cohen announced this is like weeks after the election, that this was coming out, and I was like, this is a good idea. We should be doing this. I reached out to them. I was like, hey, let's get in touch, whatever. No response ever, and I'm not like throwing shade or anything, but I was kind of like, that's weird that there was just like zero response. If their stated goal is to help, what, like, I am the exact type of person you would think they'd be wanting to help, a medium-sized left-wing influencer that could use a little bit of support getting bigger. It just seemed odd to me. And then just nothing happened with it for months. And I was like, oh, okay. This is either A, something that is just a fundraising sort of scam, or B, something that they started way too early and then realized, oh shit, there was way more that we actually had to do to get this up and running. And so I just kind of forgot about it for a while. Then they kind of started making moves recently. Like they started accepting more people into their program, and they created this cohort, basically a residency program for certain influencers, where they paid them anywhere from $500 to $8,000 a month to be in this incubator program, to be part of these rapid response messaging campaigns. But the thing is, they never paid for content. Like they never said, hey, like a sponsored post, that if you've ever done a sponsored post before, if my post is sponsored by NBC, I have to say my post is sponsored by NBC. But that's not what Chorus did. They're just like, hey, this is a stipend, essentially, where we're going to give you this. It's going to help you live. It's going to help you focus on your work. And we want you doing that. And here's tips. Here's what you can talk about, yada, yada, yada. And all of that to me is completely above board. Like that's what we should be doing on the left. That is the sort of thing. Get funding, allow creators to have their whatever they want and do it full time and make whatever content they want. The specific parts of the contract that Taylor Lorenz talks about in this article, I think she completely misinterpreted. Like she just, and the article again doesn't say anything that's wrong. The Wired editors are good. They did their job well. It just sort of implies that these creators are being censored, that the chorus is saying, hey, we're going to take away your funding if you report on Gaza or cover the Democratic Party negatively or attack any of these politicians. And that's not what is actually happening. What's actually happening is what the contract says is, hey, if you're working on behalf of Chorus, you are not allowed, like, you have to consult with us before telling people that you're working on behalf of Chorus. That sort of thing. And that's part of every fucking influencer contract that's ever been signed. Like, these are pretty standard boilerplate shits. And then the second part of this is this 1630 group is essentially a PAC, a super PAC that's dark money, that is untracked, that is funding Chorus. And to me, that's like, okay, fine, good. Like, if this is going to exist, we should be using it. And the ethical battle lines here are, well, we shouldn't be using it. We shouldn't be using dark money. It's a bad thing for us to do that. And that's a fine argument. That's a fine ethical argument to have. The problem that I've had, and I know I've been long-winded about this, is that Taylor seems to be attacking the individual creators. And I guess it's fine to go after Brian Taylor Cohen because this is his baby. But like the rest of them that is part of this cohort, it's like they're just taking money to be part of this and getting resources and doing what they've been doing the entire time. And you have zero evidence that they've been coerced or told not to cover the Democratic Party negatively in any way, shape, or form at all. And it does seem like they've selected more generally pro-Democratic Party, generally pro-Israel influencers as part of this group. But, that's their fucking money. They can do what they want. You can criticize Chorus for that, but going after the influencers themselves just seems asinine to me and counterproductive to the goal that you are ostensibly trying to achieve.
Well, yeah, I was right about to ask, I don't know, I only know two people that I mentioned who I heard were funded by the organization, but were there signs that maybe they were skirting away from, like, from the people you know who were on it, were they generally pro-Israel, like you just said that?
So yeah, and when I say generally pro-Israel, I want to be very clear here. Most of the creators that have been mentioned have just been suspiciously less critical of Israel. Like we're not talking like we're getting Zionists on here. You know, we don't have Chuck Schumer's, not that Chuck Schumer's influencer, you know, but like we don't have like people waving the Israeli flag and saying take out the fucking Gazans, right? It's just people who have been suspiciously quiet about what is happening in Gaza and not as critical of Israel as our, you know, cohort of creators that you see on the left wing would be. And that's why I've kind of been like, all of the creators mentioned, I've had personal beefs with some of them. You know, the Ryan Saheed, he wasn't in the cohort, but he's in that group. You know, Booker Squared is another person who I've gone back and forth with, who is mentioned specifically in this article and who Taylor has been going ferociously at. And I don't like most of these people. I don't want to be defending this cohort. What's her name? Olivia. She's one of the big. She spoke at the DNC.
I don't know. Uh-oh. We lose John? Oh, boy. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I don't know who this Olivia person was, but she apparently got to John. Oh, here we go. John, are you back?
I should be back.
Hey, there we go. We have two Johns, actually. Very odd. Okay, now you're good.
It wasn't even my internet went out. It's just I was booted. But yeah, no, again, like I don't want to be on this side of the battle lines, but the way Taylor has gone about it, I'm just like, she's wrong about what the contract is saying. Like the Wired article doesn't say anything that is incorrect. It's weirdly framed and I don't like it, but it doesn't say anything that is incorrect. The things that she stated online have been just incorrect, and she needs to take the L on it, and she's having a whole fucking like crash out over it, and it's very upsetting because I want to be on.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know as much. I just know that I saw those two names, David Pakman and Olivia Juliana, is who Justin says that you're talking about. Okay, thank you, Justin. And I remember back to when everything started kicking off with after October 7th and everything, and there was the bombing of a hospital in Gaza. This is really early on. This is probably like a month or two after October 7th. And everyone said, wow, this is pretty bad that Israel just bombed a hospital. And I remember David Pakman doing a post and a video saying, whoa, what's going on? Everyone's talking about is Israel bombing a hospital. Is this true? Like, do we have any evidence on this? And he said, well, we got a report that it was actually a mistake by Hamas. Hamas sent a rocket up and they blew up their own hospital. I think he ran with that. And then when it came out that, oh, Israel actually did it, he was pretty quiet about it. And I don't remember him talking about like Gaza for months afterward. And I thought, that's weird. That's kind of weird that someone in our circle like that would be so tepid in their criticism of Israel like that. Then I mean, I haven't kept tabs of his videos every day, you know, since then, but I just saw vanishingly small mention of the conflict in general. And then I saw someone talking about Brian Taylor Cohen, and they searched his Twitter feed, and he had mentioned Palestine one time. The one time he did mention Palestine was East Palestine, Ohio, where we had the train accident or something. That was the one time he mentioned Palestine. And I said, those are two weird coincidences. And once again, I don't know everyone else on that, but when I saw it, I was like, I wonder if that was part of it. But you're right, it could have just been they were drawn to people who already had this mindset, and that would be, you know, totally up and up. I do still think it's weird though that you weren't allowed to mention you were funded by them. Like if you
that's the thing, not true. Like that part is not true.
So if they like put it on their headline, like funded by Chorus or something, would that be
no, a violation? They did. Like many, like you can look at. Well, first of all, Brian Taylor Cohen, obviously, like he was on the he announced it. But like you look at like Booker Square, you look at a lot of these influencers, they said in their bios and whatever, like they're part of Chorus.
Oh, okay.
The specific contract language that was being talked about was, hey, if you are going to say you're going to make content and say, hey, I'm doing this as part of Chorus, you need to get permission to do that first. Like, that's basically what the contract stipulated. And that, I feel like we can all sit down and agree, makes fucking sense. If I'm going to make content, like my employer, I mean, I guess I'm at will, so like they can fire me for whatever, but but like if I make content and it's like I'm making this John Cooper PowerPoint politics, okay, cool. But if I say I make this is my content on behalf of my employer, they're gonna have to fucking approve that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That just makes fucking sense. And like that's the thing that like frustrates me so much about this is that there is a conversation that should be had about the level to which Democrats and the left should be using corporate dark money funding at all in the first place. I would argue they should be, and just telling them to go fuck themselves if they want us to change. And I know that's not how it necessarily works, but fuck, I don't want to be arriving at a gunfight with a fucking piece of wood, right? But at the same time, this is not the way to, like, this was just, again, the framing of the article. And Taylor says that she doesn't write the headlines or the subheaders, which I think is true generally for journalists. But like the way the headline, the subheader was like, meet the secretive group being funded by the Democratic Party, yada, yada, yada. It's like, that's not really what's going on here. Pro-Democrat, again, I don't know if it's a super PAC, the 1630 group. I haven't been able to figure that one out, but it is a dark money fundraising for Democratic causes, right? And that's the group that Taylor really has her real criticism of, that is accurate and is worthwhile to discuss. But framing it as, hey, the Democratic Party is controlling all of these influencers you love to like make them say things that they wouldn't otherwise. There's just, it doesn't specifically make that claim in the article, but it's sort of alluding to it in the subheader. But like, she has straight up said this, and that's where I'm just like, you don't show your proof. Like, put up or shut up if you're going to be doing that, because to me, I'm cool with criticizing any of these creators for how they've covered Israel or Palestine or the Democratic Party or any of it. I have criticized many of these creators for those things, but I don't think they're doing it for the money. And I know this because there's not much fucking money in this. There just isn't. Like, even if you look at, some of them were getting $8,000 a month, the tippy top ones. You'd imagine Olivia Giuliano was probably getting $8,000 a month, right? And it's like, yeah, $8,000 a month is a lot of money for the average American, but like, compare that to what her conservative counterpart is being paid, and they're getting paid $80,000. That might be a little high, but they're getting paid $20,000 a month. Like, it's not even fucking close. And so to make this statement like, oh, this nefarious dark money organization is controlling what the Democrats want you to see online, it's just like, that's just not an accurate description of where we're at in the online media ecosystem. I wish that were the case. I would much prefer that to the status quo. That is not the fucking case, people. And if you think it is, I got a bridge to sell you. Because again, even with this, the Republicans are doing it so much more effectively in such a more nefarious way that, like, if you're going to waste your fucking time and energy worrying about this, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I agree that.
And I usually hate that argument, TJ. When people make that argument, I usually hate it. But this is just like, why are we, if you're going to have this conversation, have it in a way that is like constructive and combative. And there's no reason to be attacking the individual creators because of this. There's plenty of reason to criticize them otherwise. But like, this is just a weird way to go about it.
I mean, yeah, I have the same conclusion that you have, that if anything, people should be doing this more. That if you, like you said, it's funny you mentioned the knife to a gunfight example, because I hadn't thought about that. It kind of is. The $8,000 a month. $8,000 a month is great. That's almost $100K a year. It
would change my life if I got $8,000
exactly. And so I understand why you see it that way. But when you compare it to the top conservative folks who, like, they paid David Rubin hundreds of thousands of dollars for 6 months of work or something like that. Yeah, it's not coming close. So then again, the money has to be there first. So it's easy to say, hey, just spend the money, but you actually have that money to exist. We talked about the Hamas thing. I want to bring this up too. We didn't discuss the Richie Torres interview with Adam Friedland. I know you probably saw that. Did you see that last week?
I heard about it, but I didn't engage with it at all. So this is going to be new to me.
Okay, this is one part of the clip, and the the discord between them when they were talking about Israel and Gaza. And this clip right here is really indicative of a lot of folks talking about this topic. Let's go.
Hamas murdered thousands of people.
So what does that mean?
That Hamas is a terrorist organization for murdering innocent children and civilians.
How many civilians have been killed in this war?
The war is a tragedy, but
90%
again,
of
you're
them have been
suggesting that
they've killed journalists.
People have been killed in a war. It's been a tragedy.
They've killed people waiting for aid.
But you're suggesting that it is the policy of the Israeli government to murder civilians, and that is a notion that I reject.
You gotta listen, man. You gotta be like a human being about this.
People who are dying in the war, which to me is a tragedy, because war is a tragedy.
Do you feel in your heart that this is what you're doing? What you're saying is right? If you remove Hamas, you don't actually think that.
I told you what I believe. Don't tell me what I believe. I've told you what I believe.
Why would you believe that?
Because there are people who see the world differently. I know it's a shock to you, but there are people who see the world differently.
Okay, there's a few things I want to highlight about this. The first one is the shift in how he's discussing these two sides here. Whenever he starts off, he goes on the strong offensive saying Hamas has murdered civilians and that makes them a terrorist organization. Just bam, declarative sentence, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But then when Adam Friedland says, well, how many civilians have died because of the Israelis? Well, war is a tragedy, and it's unfortunate that tragedies happen. All of a sudden, the responsibility is taken completely off him. And then Friedland brings up the civilian thing again, like how many civilians have been killed. Something like 80% of the casualties are non-combatants. They're men, women, children, old people who aren't involved in the conflict at all. He literally just shrugs and says, well, Hamas is a terror organization. The whole interview was like that. There's several clips of it, but I didn't expect you hadn't seen it. But from that clip, what do you gather?
Yeah, so I'm not like a person who knows Adam Friedland. Like I've seen clips of Adam Friedland. I've typically liked Adam Friedland when I've seen him. Same thing with Torres. I know of Torres. I think he has some good politics, and then with Israel, he's just a fucking clusterfuck, right? But I feel like Friedland just failed that entirely, because what you just said was the obvious line of attack from the it seemed like he was setting them up, because from the moment he's like, Hamas is a terrorist organization because they killed thousands of civilians, and he goes, well, how many civilians have been killed? And then Torres goes, oh, well, are you suggesting that it's the policy of the Israeli government to murder civilians? And it's like, yeah, explain to me what the difference is then, because he seems to think war is a tragedy. Well, the war existed before October 7th. Like we all know that. Everyone talking about this with any sort of any knowledge of the situation understands that this is an armed conflict that has been going on. It's never stopped at any point since Israel left Gaza, and there was armed conflict going on before then as well. And so that's the entire Israeli argument at this point. Like the only way you can actually have the cognitive dissonance to support Israel still, if you just view Israel as fundamentally different than Hamas. If you're like, oh, well, there's an Israeli government and they're allowed to make war decisions that they know will result in the deaths of civilians. And they can intentionally know that by taking this action, they are killing civilians. But if Hamas does that, that's bad. That they're a terrorist organization for that. Even if they kill thousands and thousands and thousands of less civilians, they're bad. And Israel's good. And there's just this split. And he didn't go after the split. He didn't go after, he was just like, do you really believe that? And I was like, I didn't feel like Friedland did the work to prove why he shouldn't believe that. Because what Richie Torres was saying, I feel like would kind of make sense to the average American. And Friedland's argument really only makes sense to people who already agree with him. So as much as I agree with Friedland there, and I don't think either of them won that clip necessarily, certainly Torres set himself up for failure and wasn't killed.
Yeah, I agree completely with what you said, and so does Justin, saying whether or not it's an official policy is irrelevant. I cannot stress the importance of that enough. That him sitting there saying that well, Hamas has killed civilians and they're obviously a terror group. And then Friedland responds, well, Israel's killed civilians as well. And then he pivots to, oh, are you saying it's the official policy of the Israeli military to kill civilians? It is a fact that they are killing civilians. It either is the official policy and they don't care, or it's not the official policy and they're incompetent. They're most incompetent military in human history. They've killed more civilians as a percentage than any war that we fought in 80 years, if I remember correctly. So you have to pick a side here, that Israel is actually doing this on purpose, or they don't care, or they're doing it and they have no clue how to actually execute an armed conflict against a society that is decades behind you militarily and structurally. And I don't know, there are more clips than just that one, but Richie Torres really came off as sociopathic to me in a lot of ways. That there was just like of course he has the canned responses that a lot of politicians go for, but I think that interview was like an hour long. When you're doing this for an hour, it really comes off creepy. I don't know too much about Richie Torres. He's a congressman, for those of you wondering who this guy is, but I hope that there's more of this, because you're right, Friedland could have done better, but I mean, the guy's like a comedian or something like that. It's not like he does this all the time. But if more people who actually know what they're talking about don't let politicians try to dance their way around these very obvious issues, I think that'll do a lot of good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem at this point, is that we're getting to a place where, in order to say Israel bad, you're gonna have to start saying a lot of other people bad. Like the entire reason that Richie Torres' argument even makes sense to anyone is this assumption that states have this right to kill thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians if they're in a war. And that shouldn't be taken as gospel. They say these things as if that is just the case. It's like, oh, well, Israel is a sovereign nation and they're in a war. And sometimes in a war is a tragedy and, thousands of civilians die. And it's like, okay, but why? Why is that the case? Why do they need to be in this war? Is anyone questioning whether they should continue this fucking war if it's going to kill these thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent people? To me, that's the crux of this entire fucking argument. Like, you can say that like Israel isn't a bad guy, or like they whatever. Like there's 1,000 different arguments that we can have about this. But at the end of the day, look at the numbers. On one side, you have a terrorist group who at most has proven they're able to kill 1,000 people on their best fucking day. Their best day. And that required a massive lapse in Israeli security in order for them to pull off what they did on October 7th. And then you look at the other side, and they're like, in response to that, we've killed 60, 70, 80. Like, the number is going to end up in the hundreds of thousands of people who are dead at the end of this. And you look at those two things. We are engaging in a war of self-defense against an enemy that has proven that even at their best, they can only kill 1,000 people. And we have killed tens and tens and tens of over 100,000 people in order to defend ourselves from this threat. Well, that's not fucking justified. It's just not. Like, if you're looking at this as a neutral observer and going, is it worth it? Should I support 80,000 innocent people dying on this side in order to prevent 1,000 people dying on this side? No, I fucking shouldn't. There's no fucking way that that's reasonable. Maybe I can't even imagine a situation, because the only situation I'd say, oh, keep fighting, is like if you're like in Ukraine and like Russia invaded Ukraine. It's like, oh, you're not just going to like die. Like you're not just going to give up your fucking country because this country's invading you. That's not what's fucking happening here. Israel's the stronger force. They're the ones that have the responsibility of greater care, because again, the other side is a terrorist organization. They're not held to the same standard. If you're going to say they're a terrorist organization, they should be allowed to kill thousands more civilians than the fucking state is, because the state should be held to a higher moral standard. And yet it's completely flip-flopped. And I really wish I saw, again, maybe Friedland does. I really don't. I kind of want to watch this now. But like, that's the thing I wish I saw more people hold Israel supporters and politicians in particular to, of why. because America does it all the fucking time. And that, I think, is one of the major issues here, is if we admit what Israel is doing is wrong, a lot of the shit we've done is wrong too. And it's really hard for people to admit that.
Yeah, it's bad. It gets really bad. I want to comment right here. What is it? Conservative Ozark says, that's such a good point about Israel having deliberate intent or being incompetent. I didn't know about the civilian death rate. Who's in second place? I don't know exactly who's in second place, but I remember seeing it like World War I and World War II had civilian death rates like in the 60% or something like that. I mean, like in like the bloodiest conflicts in the recent past, it's still, tens of percentage points lower than the conflict in Gaza. It's just it's dark. I hate to see it, but all right, it's about that time, John. What do you say we wrap it up here?
Let's wrap it up. Thank you guys very much. Justin Hall, great to see you commenting. I don't often see Justin Hall in the comments, so welcome to the Left Wing. He asked earlier, or he said, I forget exactly where it is, but he said he recognized to the albums on my wall. So just so you guys know, that's Michael Jackson and Rage Against the Machine at the bottom. We got the boss there, Bruce Springsteen, Taylor Swift next to her, Zach Bryan above them, and then Renee Rapp, who is my fiance's one of her favorite pop stars. She's all right in my opinion, but she really likes her. She played Regina George in the Mean Girls movie and did a great job in that.
I got a question real quick, John, before we sign off here. So my girlfriend watched the episode that we did last week, and I want to know if you agreed with her. She said she saw it, and she said that she was distracted by how much I was fangirling over our guest, Dr. Dakota Tyler. And I want to ask you, did it seem like I was out of character? Because I thought I was excited, but I didn't think it was that obvious.
You were. So I understand why that was distracting to your girlfriend. I would not say it's something that was distracting to our audience, but it was a very clear and distinct difference of how TJ Whitehead, the person, interacts with most people. So I understand why she thought that. I wouldn't say it is a criticism of you as a host.
That is exactly what she said, actually. She said, yeah. I don't think anyone, like your average person, would notice, but if someone knows you very well, they could tell that you were acting a little different than usual. So yeah, glad to see that there's some agreement there. I tried to keep my professional demeanor. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Again, we will be back on Wednesday at 6:35 EST for our typical normal show. I don't think we have a guest. I think it will just be me and TJ. Yeah, have fun, guys. See you then.
Later.